Yeah.
Uh, so I think anyone who knows me knows how much I cherish an exclusive interview, and it gives me a great pleasure to introduce Kapil Redekar, who is making his feature film debut in The Buckingham Murders by Hansal Mehta, starring Kareena Kapoor Khan in the lead. Uh, and the film is premiering
It's
at
so
Mummy.
surreal. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I can imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
surreal it is, Kapil, but you did such a terrific job. I watched the film in London and I was so drawn to the way you portrayed the character. I mean, talk to me about the beginning. How were you discovered for the role? Did you have to audition? What was it like?
Discovering the character, or how was I discovered
How were
in
you
general?
discovered? Yeah, the character is a
That's a
different
funny
conversation.
story. That's a funny story. I mean, like I've been, as I said, like I've been doing theater in India for a long time, especially in Mumbai and Pune. And after that, like everybody was going through this whole thing called pandemic, and hence the saturation, and like nothing was happening. Not like nobody was going anywhere. No, everybody was trying to write, but nothing was getting implemented. So many ideas were being produced, but nothing was happening. And in those difficult times, I also lost my mother, and
Sorry.
she wanted. Uh, Thank you. And she wanted me to go and pursue my masters from London, especially. And I always wanted to go to RADA for some reason because it's such a big deal back in India. Because I've heard so much. I had heard like so much about RADA in general. So there were just two drama schools that I had applied to, RADA and Mount U. And I got into Mount U first, then RADA, because RADA starts in January. And I was like, I don't get into RADA, I'm not getting out of here. And I went to Mount U. Mount U was a great experience. I finished my master's course. I signed immediately with an agent. And the first audition that I receive is of Hansal Mehta's film. And I flip out. Like I freaked out, man. Like this, like what are the odds? Like when I was in Mumbai, I had an audition for films in general because I was focusing more on my theater side. I don't know. For some reason, I was just keeping myself exclusive. I don't know why, because I did not feel it was a safe space for me to come out and say that I want to do film acting. But I think that was the right time when the right work found me. Um, it just came to me, and I auditioned for it. Then I spoke to Mr. Mukesh Chabra, and the whole thing happened. And then I got to know that I'm going to work with Kareena Kapoor, and then it's I don't know, it's just a surreal thing. Even now, I don't know. Like I'm back in my city, I'm sitting and like I've already done this thing. I don't know how it all happened. So some of the answer for your question, I think it's all surreal. I don't know how it happened.
Wow. I mean, I think you saw the reactions to the audiences here in London. The fact that it's obviously the film is coming to the home turf, which is in Mami in Mumbai Film Festival. What are some of your thoughts, some of your reactions? Are you feeling a little bit nervous as well to seeing?
I am. I am. I'm absolutely nervous. Like I thought film is a medium where they always say like theater is an actor's medium and film is a director's medium. And I believed in it. I still do believe in it because of course it's like it's a baby for the director and like but now when I'm like I've done and there's nothing that I can do. Like everything's been made, everything's been finalized, and it's just going like you're just going to be sitting there watching your own work. But it's still a weird feeling in my gut even though I can't change anything, it's just like a weird feeling that you know how is it how is it going to be perceived? Because there's nothing much you can do because it's all made now, like it's all done. But it's like that's the best thing about film as well. Like you can just get that one shot, especially when you're like an actor like me, like who's still trying to find his voice as an artist. But like you get that just one shot at something, and then you probably do it well or you don't do it, and it's the moment of truth. So I think it's the people who decide what works and what doesn't. So I am extremely nervous to answer your question. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
And I think it's interesting because you talk about finding your voice as an artist. And I think that's something which your character in the film really symbolizes. I feel like your character, I mean, I don't want to delve too much into it because I want people to watch the film, of course.
Yeah.
There's a suppression that he has. He's obviously a suspect of something which he claims that he hasn't done. And the fact that there's so much at play. I mean, as the film goes on, we see layers, we see things which are revealed. Uh, Kapil, for you as an actor, when it comes to playing a character, which I'm sure you've
Yeah.
never been a suspect for a murder case, which I hope you haven't. When it
Yeah, I
comes,
wouldn't have come to UK otherwise.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to characters like this, which obviously are very remote from the way you are as a person, what emotions did you necessarily have to tap into to bring that character alive and authentic?
I think it's all us. Like when we speak about acting again, like I don't want to speak about acting, but it's like it's you can never be the character. I'm the believer of like you can never be that person. It's always you trying to resemble with yourself and the writer that who has like given birth to this character and find the middle ground and make this human being real, right? So I think, of course, I have not been a suspect for murder, but I think I could relate with that character on a lot of grounds because he's a youngster who's trying to find his voice again, as you said, trying to figure out a lot of things, struggling with a lot of things, struggling with addiction, struggling with his sexuality and whatnot. Like there's so many things that I've seen people struggle with, but they can't do anything about it. Especially from the society that I come from, it's a very not really conservative, but like still a developing society, right? It's not 100% liberal society that I come from, right? So I've seen these things. I've seen people like this being suppressed or suppressing their feelings because of under the pressure of the society. So I could relate with all of it with Saqib's character, and I tried to find his voice and my own voice, trying to merge with Saqib. So yeah, that was the whole process.
And I think the camaraderie that you shared with Kareena in the film, it's quite an interesting journey that we see, which I kind of feel like it also taps into her vulnerabilities as well, of what
Yeah.
Jas Bhamra has gone through in her life. Uh, I think to create that space where obviously, I mean, you're with such a powerful actress. I mean, her performance was incredible. But I guess, when you're in that sort of an environment, when you have her there, I'm sure it must have got a bit overwhelming at some point. Was it overwhelming actually? And what do you think really helped you to create that bond that you share with her in the film?
I mean, of course, like I've grown up watching her films. She's such a huge star. Of course, like I would be lying if I say that I was very comfortable at like in the beginning. But I think like you always have these like preconceived notions about how the star is going to be or like before you meet them. But she is the sweetest person. Like when we were so cold while we were filming that scene. We were in Dover, in southeast coast of England when where we were filming that scene, and it was absolutely cold. And she was the one who kept telling me to like wear a coat, you'll catch cold, otherwise like you wouldn't be able to continue the scene. And me being like freshly out of drama school and like trying to find my voice as an artist and like I'm like I don't want to wear this coat and break my whole character. I want to be in the moment and all of that. But she was very sweet and she made me very comfortable in that zone. And I'm pretty sure like mega stars such as Kareena, they know when they're on the set, if they're working with somebody that's relatively new, like they're aware of who they are exactly, and they try their best to comfort you to get the best work out of you. And she was the sweetest person to like she helped me like trying to find my voice in that scene and stand like stand my ground, um where he is not being very cooperative with her and then being cooperative and all of that. Like so I think it takes a lot. for another actor to want to get the best work out of you, I'll say.
Hmm.
She did that for me, I'll say. Like it's like when another the second actor, it's about knowing whose scene it is, right? Like even though you are the lead of the film, the star of the film, all of that, but I think it's very sensible decision that an actor makes when um uh being aware of like of the fact that whose scene it is. Like doesn't matter who is leading the film, doesn't matter who is the star of the film, doesn't matter uh, what's happening in the whole story after that scene. But I think it's the matter of uh, just what like just being there and knowing who drives this whole moment. So I
Hmm.
think she was very aware of that, and yeah, that was
Wow.
helpful.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm sure she'll
Yeah,
be really happy to hear this whenever she watches this interview. And I think, when we talk about London, for a while now, we've had a few films which try to showcase the gritty lives, the more, perhaps, I don't want to say realistic because, I mean, cinema's very, I mean, there's always artistic sort of takes on things. But I feel Buckingham Murders really is that film that really talks about the dark side of Britain as well, of UK, where we see the crimes and stuff happening and the sort of jail representations like we had Provoked many years ago, Aishwarya Rai's film, which kind of strived also to do that as well. And it was also quite successful in that department in actually raising awareness of the gritty lifestyle there. For
right.
you though to explore the crime area of London, which is the non-romanticized version of UK, that must have been quite. Did you? I mean, how did you find that aspect as well? I mean, of course, coming from India to
Right,
study in the
right,
UK,
right,
I'm
right.
sure you must have had to get used to the culture shock too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's such an interesting question because I've got a really interesting answer for that because I went to Mount View and I've been living in London for last, I guess, 2.5 year ish. And the building of Mount View is in Peckham. It's a southeast SE15 Peckham, which is, I'll say, like it used to be very where a lot of crime used to happen. Like there are few problems here and there even now as well. But Peckham is one of those areas that used to be really famous for mostly its gang wars and crimes and everything. So I think, but the culture is still there. When I walk down the Rye Lane every time when I'm going to the tube to the overground station or going back home from work or anything like that, I see a lot of resemblance of like whatever there was happening in the world of the film of the Buckingham Murders. I could relate. Well, like when I imagined what Sakib's friends would have been like. I see those people. I saw those people on the streets of Rye Lane. I saw the people who would be buying stuff that's of course illegal to buy. Those like I could imagine those people in the world of the film as well. So I think living in Peckham especially helped me a lot. Like Peckham is wonderful now. It's beautiful. Like it's rich with culture, its diversity and everything. But it helped me a lot, like because the day I landed in London, I went to Peckham in my apartment. So I think it helped me a lot to build that whole world for like my character in the film as well. So I think that helped a lot. Like since I live in Peckham, even now I'm like proudly living in Peckham. It's an amazing place to be.
Mm. But I think we have to. I would love to delve a bit more into the emotional aspect of the film. I mean,
Mm.
because there's so much that he battles, and I know we spoke about it as well, but uh, I actually really find it so fascinating how you brought this sense of pain. Like there was a pain in your eyes, like even in the first interrogation, where you have this very kind of uh, you were basically habited to the police interrogating you. You're definitely someone who isn't unfamiliar to them. But
Yeah.
yet there was also that pain that you managed to exude. वो दर्द कहाँ से आया मुझे ये जानना है.
Dard, I mean, like as I said, it comes from within you always, always. Like, and I have been a reader of Hindi Urdu poetry for a long time, and I've always romanticized John Elias out. And like I'm not saying that it comes from there, but I'm always like I'm saying like these people knew how to glorify their own pain, right? No,
Mm.
it's just a side thing to tell. But the character, the pain, I think it comes from my process, the process that I've found comfortable for me since last few projects. I write a lot about my own character. The given circumstances are there, of course, by the writer in the script. All the given circumstances are there, but like whatever there's not in the script, I tend to write it. Like I almost write an autobiography for my characters that I'm playing. So I think all the backstory of Saqib, I had to create it. I think there was a lot of pain in that backstory, and I think I was thinking of being in a moment with those given circumstances that I created for my own character. So, I mean, like, let's not go into the depths of all those circumstances that I created for my character, but I think there was a lot of pain. All the pages that I wrote down, all those stories that I made up for my character, I think there were a lot. There was a lot of pain in his life. So I
Mm.
think that came onto the screen.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I think getting an opportunity like the Buckingham Murders, I think it really is. I mean, of course, your sheer talent, no doubt. But I think also it's such a rare opportunity, right, for any actor, especially for their first feature film to work with someone like Hansal Mehta, who I think is a remarkable filmmaker, one of the finest we have in this current generation.
Absolutely.
Uh, but again, Kapil, to make ends meet, because I know a lot of actors in London who, even who do work regularly, but still at the side at the same time they also do other work to keep the bills, to keep the end to making two ends meet.
Absolutely.
How
Yes.
difficult has it been though? I think people must know about that side of your journey too.
Truly. Truly. Like I mean, it is difficult to survive in London. Like we let's not like get into the how expensive London is. Everybody knows how expensive London is. But I will say it has been a tough journey for me as well. I wouldn't say it was a very smooth journey, but I would be lying if I say it was that it was the toughest thing for me to survive as an actor because I think my family has been very very supportive of me. Like they see um, this whole dream coming true. Like that what I'm trying to do it to pursue. I think they believe in me so much. But I guess like I've been trying to do some day jobs as well. But like I try to be around theater. I like to be around where there's acting. So I've been working as a theater experience guide whenever I get time. But I think more of it has been working on myself and just trying to pay the bills, work to work to pay the bills. That's all. But it's been hard. Like the SAG-AFTRA strikes, and there were no auditions happening this year at all. I was kind of losing hope, but I think this film that we finished last year, and I had this feeling in my gut that there's something that I did right in that film. So I think it's worth hanging on, you know, hanging on to what you love. So it's things we do for love, as they've said in Game of Thrones. Like there are things that you do for the things you love, and you would probably never say those things out loud in public, but we
Yeah.
know what we do for the things we love. Yeah,
Mhm. Sure. Uh, I think also, like, I'm sure people must have, like, actors, especially like yourself, must have had dreams of ambitions as well of acting and becoming an actor. So, what
yeah,
drew
yeah,
you to becoming an actor in the first place? When was the first time you realized that you had this kira in you?
yeah. No, no, that's. I mean, like APJ. Sir, you must be aware of Sir APJ Abdul Kalam, our
Of
ex-president.
course.
He, I read his autobiography when I was a kid, and he always said, "Low aim is crime," and I always believed in that ideology. Like I never aimed low, but I also never expected things. Again, like I'm not a great believer of scriptures, but there's a shlok in Bhagavad Gita that says, like, कर्म की चिंता करो, फल की चिंता मत करो. I believe in karma. I believe in doing things. I don't expect a lot of things. But I've dreamed, like, there should be a dream that you should be chasing. But I think when you're being aware of the distance that you've come from point A to B, I think it feels long. So I think I'm enjoying the process rather than looking at the destination. I'm enjoying the process. I'm the person who hates it when we reach the destination of the road trip. I'm the person who enjoys the road trip. So I think so. That's my thing.
Hmm. And do you think because of theatre and your main work sort of stemming from there in terms of acting, do you feel that that's really taught you a lot about discipline and going with the flow as an artist? Because sometimes it's
Yeah.
it's an impromptu medium, right? And if you make a mistake, there's no takes here. So do you feel like, all of
Absolutely.
these things have really sort of seeped into you?
Absolutely. And especially the theater that I did back in Mumbai and Pune, it's not the theater that we like. You must have seen like a lot of theater back at home, like back in India and London as well. And you must have seen the difference in process. There's a huge difference in processes of like these two different theaters. And I come from the schooling of proper regional Marathi theater, right? I've done
Wow.
like, a lot of Marathi theater, Hindi theater, then a little bit of English theater. But the discipline here is completely different. It's the schooling is totally different. Like the people you're working with come from a different cultures, come from a different classes, come from different places. Like because India, especially Mumbai, is so diverse. Like culture changes every household to household. It's not about like going kilometers because so many different people coming from so many different regions of India, speaking different languages. And I think it's been a great experience learning and adapting from all these people and knowing their truth and knowing my truth. And still, we stand together and work together and eat together. And all of that stuff, I think that discipline, feeling of being rooted to your culture, feeling of being rooted to where you come from and never forgetting that, and all of it, I think it comes from theater. I owe it to theater big time. And
Hmm.
I think this whole thing about like the discipline of being an actor and doing like having a chance to work in such a great film, I think it has helped me greatly. Doing theater for a long time, it has helped me a lot. Because when I was waiting for my scenes, when I was, called in and like, there are some things that always happen on the sets. Like you get called in, but you have to wait for some time because of some delays that happen, technical issues and stuff. My discipline was to always sit in the trailer and do my scene again and again and again and again and again till I get it right. Because again, it's theater because I didn't want to get it wrong at all. Because
Hmm.
in my head, I just had that one chance. So
Hmm.
I think it comes from theater.
Sure. Now, another strand that I love about Hansal Mehta's movies and his characters, especially if you look at Rajkumar Rao in Shahid, uh,
Yeah.
Karishma Tanna in Scoop, is that he likes to really portray misunderstood characters quite
Yeah.
well in
Yeah.
his films. And I've often told him this as well, that it's interesting how even in a very dark character, he humanizes them without glorifying their atrocity or without actually making a big hoo-ha about what they've done, but more focusing on the human aspects. And I think that is very interesting that he has done. And I think even your character
Absolutely.
is in that sort of a legacy now as well.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. I
but I think
believe
when it
so.
comes to sort of under the misunderstanding part, the misunderstood part of your character, has there ever been a time in your life where perhaps you know people misunderstood who Kapil was, and thought Kapil was a certain way. How have you dealt with that instance, and what sort of maybe guidance did Hansal sir offer you in the making of the film?
Um, I mean, they do, like, people will do it all the time. I think, like, people will misunderstand you all the time. I think Hansel. I would like to speak about Hansel sir's take on this. I think he's a very smart director, and he knows um, that what like he's always aware of what he's doing. I'll say, and he told me a few days back that my I never tend to make really bad decisions. He said that, like, and when he has made the decision, I think he trusts in it fully. So I'll say when I was on the sets and when I was working on my character, I think he trusted me completely. I think it is very important um, for an actor that his director trusts him or her or them completely as an actor. But I think what surprised me the most, because I was waiting for the notes after the rehearsal, me being a first timer doing this great film and everything, I was expecting some notes from him, but he absolutely did not give me any notes. He maybe wanted to see what I've done and prep for myself, because maybe he knew that I'm like coming prepared. I don't know. Maybe so. He did not give me any notes about the character, but he always had this idea of what Saqib would be like. Like he spoke very briefly. Like he did not give me like feed me any ideas of what, like, we had the reading and everything. Of course, like he had explained the character arc for me, like how he wants me, like the Saqib to be, and everything. That all of that happened before we started filming, right? And after we started filming, he just let me flow, like, he just wanted me to give Saqib this whole shape. And I think he was more interested in what I was trying to do than what he would want me to do. And I think that's a really interesting thing for a director, to, like, give this full liberty to his actor, especially who is new, relatively new, with all these great people, and just trusting him with all his gut. I think that was very important. I think that helped me very well, like very much,
Mhm.
with his character.
Now, obviously, it's your first film. I'm sure आपके काफी अरमान होंगे इस फिल्म को लेके और उसके बाद भी. तो वो अरमान क्या है? What are your hopes and expectations?
Again, as I said, I um, like to work, and how would that happen if I get more work? So I think as of now, I'm not being very ambitious. I'm just trying to think that whatever piece I was offered, I tried to make it work. I tried to make it beautiful in the sense of how the character is. I tried to make it relatable. Um, I think that's all I want to do, and I want to keep doing that. So I think the ambition, or Arman, as you said, would be um, just work more, just work more as an actor. I think that's the thing that keeps me going. That's
Mhm.
like a fuel for my road trip. It
Yeah,
will keep me going.
sure. Any particular characters that you're very keen in exploring?
Any particular characters? I don't
Yeah.
know. The characters that I have never met in my life, I'll say. That would be the most challenging thing. Probably all the characters that are very normal, just like you and me was speaking. The characters who are maybe normal, seem to be normal, just like you and me, but are not. The characters who, I don't know, who just like to sit and not talk. I don't anything, anything that challenges me.
I feel like there's a passion in you as an actor which I think can be explored in any way. Like I can see you being a Majnu. I can see you also being a complete psycho. It's like a complete sort of a friend. The ends of the
Well,
spectrum.
maybe, like, that's like a left or a right in my road trip. Probably a little
Yeah,
detour would be
yeah.
nice.
It'll be crazy. It'll be really interesting though. I think when we look back at this interview also, and when we do even future ones, it'll be like या कपिल, आपको याद है जब हमने ये बात की थी? तो सच में ये हो गया।
I mean, this is so surreal, Anuj. Like you interviewing me as well. I'm like, I don't know where is this coming from? Like this is my first. I already did my first film. It premiered in BFI. Now you're interviewing me. I've got the premiere in the evening for Mommy. I don't know. It's like so overwhelming. I don't know.
It's all it is. It's the divine blessing, and it's your hard work as an artist. That's all it is. एक्सटीरियर फैक्टर्स
Thank
जो
you.
होते हैं ना, वो हमेशा एक इंटीरियर मैनिफेस्टेशन से होता है, मेरे हिसाब से.
Very well said.
I mean, that's what I believe. I feel like whatever is happening out there is somehow because we've manifested it, as individuals, and I think, yeah,
Absolutely.
whatever's happening is just a result of that, for sure.
100% agreed. Like manifestation, I believe in manifestation. Absolutely. Because trust me, like people would not believe me when I tell them, but I I was literally manifesting working with Hansal Mehta, and the first film I did was with Hansal Mehta. They wouldn't believe me. Of course, there are a few other filmmakers as well that I'm still manifesting to work with, but people will not believe me that I've always manifested working with Hansal Mehta, especially watching Shahid or Mehta
Yeah.
or Aligarh.
Mm.
Beautiful. What beautiful films.
Amazing. No, he truly is such a great filmmaker. And I think Buckingham Murders is a really refreshing take on, Britain and the representation of it and the South Asians' lives, the migrant stories here, because we're so used to seeing the glorified, romanticized, living in Hemel Hempstead kind of a
Yeah.
life. There's so
Well,
much.
which is not false as well. It's true.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's true, but I mean, it's
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
rare we get to see these stories which actually take place. Like
Absolutely.
Saqib, for example, is the
True.
character which I've probably met in my school life at some point as well. I've probably met people like that, seen people like that on the news or in person, and I think that's what really got me. Is the fact that I've seen that, and I think it just felt so close to home, especially because Leicester is literally second home for me. So to see the references of what happened then, and I know how horrible
No,
it was.
yeah. I had like done some research about like what was when you search about these things, all of this, like the thing that you mentioned as well. I had to do a lot of research about that, and I'm so sorry that you had to see that as well.
It was terrifying, honestly. Like, and I think also it doesn't help because often the Western media have their way of manipulating things and having agenda-driven news. And I think
Well,
and I think that's what I really liked about the way he incorporated the visuals. He saw, like, for example, when rioters or hooligans were literally pulling off the dwaj of the mandir. Those were very powerful visuals he took to really tell the story. And I think I'm really glad that he did. You know.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
he's
But
a
look,
very, very sensible and like politically aware filmmaker. Of course, like he has to speak against the injustice in the society. Like, I mean, he's been doing that through his films for a long time, and I think, yeah, that was very important.
और काफी
So,
balanced तरीके से as well. I think that's what
yes,
I really
absolutely.
respect about him as well.
He's very balanced. Like, he's very balanced. He wouldn't, and I like everybody should be. I think nobody should be taking sides, and like nobody should be supporting injustice in general. It's like everybody's important. Everybody's uh, precious. Everybody's life is precious. Everybody's relationships are precious. Everybody's beliefs are precious. I think just no injustice in the world, please.
Absolutely. No, for sure. I mean, a bit of a heavy note to conclude our interview, though. But no, I think it was so good, Kapil, honestly, to meet you on the premiere day, and I'm so glad that it's having its mummy premiere soon. So we'll definitely be can't
So
wait to hear what people have to say about the movie and to see what more appreciation you get as well.
well,
We'll
फल की चिंता मत करो, कर्म की
बस
we'll
वही
see.
करना है वही करना है absolutely
Absolutely.
absolutely. Well, look, Kapil, thank you so much for joining me on Film Nation.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'll come and see you in London for sure. Love
Yeah,
to
we'll
chat in
meet.
person.
No, we'll definitely meet.
Absolutely.
For sure. We need to. It'll be good.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thanks,
All right.
Kapil. Bye.